Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna make a review on the July Yoyo Lemon Honey. Now this Yoyo I only had this for like 1 month, but this Yoyo has really surprised me in terms of durability and performance. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the specs are right here at the corner of the screen, and it says right here diameter is 56.5 millimeters, and for the width it is 47.61 millimeters. I'm reading this off of Google. And for the material of this Yoyo is aluminum body 6061, and then PC rings or polycarbonates rings. That's the unique thing about this Yoyo. It's because it's made out of two things, but it's not a bimetal. These rims are made out of plastic, but the body is made out of metal. So that's the really unique thing about this Yoyo. Now diving into the design of this Yoyo, as you can see here, the body is very smooth, very matte. Even the face is matte. But here, near the pads, it's glossed out. Now the reasoning for that, hold on, let me get my string. Now the reasoning for that is when you do horizontal. The thing is, look at this. You see how much contact the string is with the Yoyo? Very little. That's because of the design of this Yoyo. This Yoyo has a very sharp cut on its body, so the string only contacts with the Yoyo at near the pads and here at the rims right here. I really like how they designed this Yoyo because this is really good for horizontal, as you'll see on later in the video. Now talking about the rims of this Yoyo, as you can see here, the rims of the Yoyo is pretty beefy in a way, but they're plastic, so it shouldn't get in the way too much. And as you can see here, the plastic kind of wraps around into the rim of the Yoyo, but there's still a bit of metal left there on the rim. Okay, so that's about all I'm gonna cover for the design of this Yoyo. Now, without further ado, let's go into the in-depth analysis of this Yoyo in terms of play and feel. Power and stability. Now for the power on this Yoyo, it's almost comparable to a monometal. However, it's not as powerful as a bimetal because of the plastic rims. Now for the stability on this Yoyo, I would say the stability is kind of below average, because whenever I play with the Yoyo and I put it under a lot of stress, it kind of tilts on the wrong way. But I can't say the same for horizontal, because for horizontal this Yoyo is pretty stable for that because of the design we talked about earlier. Play and feel. Now for the play and feel of this Yoyo, I can only describe to which it feels very floaty. And whenever I play with this Yoyo, it feels very easy to control. When I first had this Yoyo, I thought it just played like a normal monometal. But after a while of playing with it, I actually realized that these plastic rims make it easier to control the Yoyo and to maneuver it. But the Yoyo is pretty hard to control after it has very little spin time left. That's the only time where I feel that when I play with the Yoyo, it gets out of control. But other than that, if the Yoyo has a lot of spin time, it's gonna be easier to control. Grinds. Now there's not much to say for this category, but what I can say is that this Yoyo is very good for grinds because of the matte finish that it has. Now I would highly recommend that you do grinds without touching the plastic rims, because the plastic rims aren't as smooth as the metal body that the Yoyo has. Now for the Anyway, the finger spins are very decent, but I would highly recommend just using the nail of your finger and not the meat part of your finger, because if you use the meat part, the spin won't last as long compared to when you use your nail. What I do want to add is that it's not as good as bee blasted finishes. The matte finish is really good for grinds, but it's not as good as bee blasted finishes, like what the Mercy 8 had in my other video. Binds and regions. The binds were very tight and snaggy when I first got this Yoyo, but after a while of playing with the Yoyo, the pads broke down and eventually it got very manageable to use. The binds are very easy to manage. It's very tight too. I don't find this yo-yo being too snaggy unless I'm using a larger size string or when the yo-yo string is just wet from practice. Now talking about the regions are very weak with this yo-yo, surprisingly. And I find that whenever I do regen, is that there's almost little to no spin time left on the yo-yo. So to put it simply, the regions are below average and the binds are really good. Now for our last category, which is versatility. Now I would say this yo-yo is good for almost every kind of genre of tricks. And I would highly recommend that you use this yo-yo when you're learning tricks or practicing tricks that you already have trouble doing. This yo-yo is pretty good for horizontal too. I noticed that it's comparable to like a shutter wide angle for some reason. It's just super stable and it's very easily controllable, so I find it easy to perform horizontal tricks more with this yo-yo. And for yo-yo players who are just looking for a fun yo-yo, I highly recommend this yo-yo right here. It's very fun to play with and it just has a very playful vibe to when you're using it. Hey guys, so that marks the end of today's video. I am really hoping that I was able to cover and review all the important aspects of the lemon honey yo-yo of today's review. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I'll reply to them as soon as I can. And that marks the end of today's video. See ya.